DIY is a little different from usual in that I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work. It's an idea that I found on Pinterest, and the idea is popsicle stick bracelets. Basically, you take some wooden sticks, put them in boiling water, bend them inside a cup, and then you get a bracelet that you can decorate to your heart's content. So I went online and bought a pack of wooden coffee stirrers for about $3. I like these better than the popsicle sticks because they're a little bit thinner, so if the idea actually works, they'll look a little more grown up. So we're going to begin this DIY in the kitchen, and before you guys get super worried, don't worry, didn't break anything this time, everything's all good. So I turned on the stove and filled a pan up with water. Once that was just about boiling, I added the sticks, put a cover on it, and then left it to boil. Now, I found one pin that said to boil them for 15 minutes, one pin that said 30 minutes, and then another pin that said an hour. So I decided to just average them all together and let them boil for 30 minutes. So once the half hour was up, they were looking nice and soaked, so I set up a variety of cups to try to bend them in. Now, none of the pins really explained how to get the sticks from the water into the cups, and I didn't just want to be sticking my hand into a pan of boiling water. So I started by using a pair of rubber oven mitts, but they were a little bit hard to work in. But then I realized that the sticks don't really stay hot once they're out of the water, so I just used a spare stick to pick them up, and then I just grab it and then bend it inside the cups. So once all of the sticks were in the cups, it was time to leave them overnight to dry out. So for you, it'll just be a jump cut, but for me, I've got to wait 24 hours to find out if this worked. Okay, so it's the next day, and it's time to find out if all of that was worth it. So the first one actually looks pretty good, but wait, as I keep taking them out, a lot of them aren't so much bracelets as they are semicircles, or like semi-curved pieces of wood. So it turns out that the only one that really worked is the one that was in the rim of the mason jar. And some of the ones that were further down in the cups didn't even dry out completely in the 24 hours, and so they just did not hold their shape at all. So I removed the ones that looked the least like bracelets, and now I have a couple left to work with. They kind of look like a headband for a doll, and they're definitely not going to stay on my tiny little wrists, but I think maybe I can make it work. So I'm thinking that if I can attach a clasp to the bracelet, then it could maybe, you know, stay on my wrists. So I went ahead and attached a clasp to some jump rings, and then I also made a chain of 3 jump rings. And then I took some embroidery thread, tied it to the last jump ring attached to the clasp, and then put some glue down on the end of the bracelet and started wrapping the thread around it. And then when I got all the way around, I put down another dot of glue, and then I attached the jump rings. So then, once all of the glue was dry, I could close up the clasp, and it was still big enough that I could just slide it onto my wrist, but it did stay put. So it's not quite as simple as the pin made it look, but if you change up the colors of the threads and maybe make some fun patterns, you could get some fun friendship bracelet-esque bracelets. But back to the one that actually did work pretty well, I decided to color it in with the Sharpie silver paint pen so that I would get this kind of mock silver look. This was actually really easy, and I just went around the entire thing, including the edges and the inside. After that, I decided to take some black thread and just wrap it around the bracelet in a nice pattern, and then I just secured the ends with some hot glue. So I think it turned out cute enough. However, in the process of doing all that, it did kind of loosen up, and so if I was to wear it outside, I would probably want to add a clasp, just like the last one. But by that point, I had had quite enough of these bracelets, so I decided to grab an actual plastic bracelet and then make something using some of the leftover coffee stirrers. So these are the coffee stirrers that I did not soak at all. These came straight out of the package, and I started snapping them into small pieces until I had a pretty hefty pile to work with. So then I just used hot glue to attach them one by one to the bracelet, which made this really cool, organic looking shape. So once I got all the way around, I thought it was looking pretty good, and it only took took a few minutes to make. However, it was a little scratchy putting it on and then just wearing it, so I decided to cover the entire thing in a coat of Mod Podge, and I left that to dry for a couple hours. And then once it was dry, I had this wooden bracelet that I think came out way cuter and is way less work than those ones from Pinterest. So overall, I would probably recommend skipping this pin. If you really want to decorate some bracelets, just go to the dollar store, get some plastic or some metal ones for super cheap, and then you can go crazy decorating a bracelet that's not gonna lose its shape with everything you do to it. It's just a lot of work to boil the wood and then shape it and then wait a day, and then you only end up with something that looks kinda wonky looking. To be fair, they could make a nice base for friendship bracelets if you cover them all in different colors of embroidery thread and then you tie them on and you make a whole bunch. It might look kind of cool and hipstery and like something you would wear to a music festival, but you could also just braid some friendship bracelets like normal and then skip the extra step of boiling sticks of wood. So I hope you guys liked this little experiment. If you have made them before, or if you saw that I did something wrong, please let me know in the comments, because it would be really awesome if they actually did work as advertised. But in the meantime, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.